Hey, good morning, YouTube. Okay, so now it's the 8th of September. I reviewed Queen Sugar yesterday, the first episode. They played the episodes back to back, so now I'm going to continue with episode 2 of uh, Queen Sugar. This is episode 2. Okay, so the thing starts off with Nova. Nova is, I don't know, they hadn't said the order of their ages, but I think Nova may be the middle child, and my guess was that she's the one they're calling Queen Sugar. We'll see. They haven't revealed that yet, but anyway. So yesterday they started the opening scene with her and her boyfriend climbing out of bed after having made love, kind of thing. Kind of a sensual kind of scene with her cop husband, who happens to be married with the family. That episode also ended with her seeing him in his house with his family. So this scene opens with he's trying. The father has passed away now. The father's dead, and he is coming to comfort her. Everybody also wants to attend the father's funeral. Apparently, he knew the father, and that she had certainly. I don't know if he knew her. He might have known him in a professional way. The guy is a cop, and so he wants to pay his respect. So he has some connection with him. He's also mentioned that she had been there for his father's funeral, who was also a cop. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of backstory there of how they came together. But that's for now. That's how it opens. Okay. So not only is she a spiritualist and with some sort of I don't know what kind of power she has. She's not a witch or voodoo priestess or anything like that. But they are in New Orleans, which is a very spiritual type part of the country. So she sells herbs and seems like she does special prayers. She's a spiritual woman. That more will be revealed there, but I know that when they are preparing the father's casket, she wants to sow uh, some kind of herb or material into his casket. But let me not get ahead of the story. I'll get there very very soon. All right, so she's also a writer. She writes articles about. It seems like she's a bit of an activist. Also, she writes about things that are troubling the community. But when she goes to work to turn in her most recent story, the editor there suggested they want the story about her sister, who is married to this big basketball player. Excuse me, I don't know the difference really, and I'm not saying that facetiously. Generally, I barely know who they're talking about, but he plays basketball. He's a star on the basketball team. At any rate, he's got this big scandal about this alleged rape case. So they want her to interview him and her and interview her sister and get the story about the basketball player. And she says no, her family is not. She's not a client or a subject. So she storms out of there. So apparently, her and Charlie. Charlie is the girl. It's a Charlie, a girl's name, Charlie, I.E. as opposed to Y. Anyway, so her and Charlie are only half sisters. They have a different mother. So one is very dark, one is very light. The father was very dark, but so we don't know how they came. Were they raised under the same roof? I don't know why the father would be raising both children, but perhaps that's what happened. I don't know. They don't get along at all. The Nova and Charlie. So there are three kids: Nova, Charlie, and Ralph Angel is the son, who I think is slightly younger than them. So of course we don't know why they hate each other's guts and kind of thing, or mostly I think from what I'm getting so far that this girl Nova resents uh, her sister, that her sister ran off, wasn't there, because when they showed the first episode, she was telling, when the father was still alive, Charlie kept telling him on the phone that she's going to get down to the farm. She's sorry that she hasn't been around. Uh, she promises she's going to be together. So apparently she hasn't been spending very much time with the families. And sometimes that kind of resentment kind of happens. Someone leaves. I mean, a good percentage of people leave the home of their origin. She went off and she married well and she became successful. But I think the main thing is that she wasn't there. Okay, so okay, we want Charlie to do the. Okay, so they're stubbing Charlie. They won't allow her to get involved in anything. Charlie makes many offers. Remember, she has money. Money's not an issue for her, but she tries to help pay for the funeral. They don't want her to do that. She tries to everything she tries to do, basically, primarily, Nova blocks it. She doesn't want her to participate, so she keeps stubbing her, and even going into the by the casket. So the son, Ralph Angel, has just been out of prison about 6 months, so he didn't have any money. He's having financial difficulty. In fact, our last episode, he actually robbed a convenience store because he has no money and he's trying to raise his son. His son's about 5 or 6 years old, maybe. Uh, the mother's a crackhead or heroin addict. She's an addict for sure. She is apparently trying to get herself together. She wants to see her child, but he won't allow it, stating that he's not going to let her into his life so she can abandon them again. So obviously that's what happened. It sounds like he was in prison and she went off and did something else and ended up strung out on drugs. Okay, so they have this big thing in the mortuary. He didn't have any money, so they said, "Well, I'll pay his first." Nova says she'll pay his part, and then Charlie says, "No, I'll pay his part." Then he's saying that you ain't got to pay my part. I'm a man, kind of thing. But he don't have any money. Somebody's got to cover it, and so they settle on. They split it down the middle, and they both pay half. Poor uh, Ralph Angel. I've been in that position myself. I'm in that position quiet as kept right now, where your younger sisters are, although they may be a little older, but they are more successful than you. A lot of brothers have this issue. I don't know why, but society seems to favor black women more than black men in many instances. So, particularly if you messed up and you get this police record dragging around behind you, it can be difficult. And so that's what he's faced with. He's there. He's broke. He's trying to raise his child, and both of his sisters are doing a lot better than he is. Anyway, they pay for the funeral. Okay, Nova goes off on Charlie. All right. Later on, Charlie makes another attempt. She wants to have the repast in the front yard, so she's called caterers, which is from where she's coming from. That would be the most logical thing to do. You just hire people to do what you want to do. But Nova seems to think it's disrespectful to feed the guests in the yard and to have servers serving them. So she goes completely off on Charlie, saying that, it's not how we treat guests. We prepare the food ourselves and all this kind of, as I said, she's a spiritual person, traditionalist type person. So I'm sure she has a lot of beliefs about how things should be and and will be over. She has anything to say about it. Anyway, so that's no for the moment. I have to jump around. I'm just going to stick with the person, each character, and go all the way through with that. What goes on with that character, and do them by character as opposed to being in chronological order. All right. So Ralph Angel. Okay, so Ralph Angel does not want his son Blue to attend the funeral. Now, the boy and his grandfather were very close. In fact, one of the last requests of the let me read this up. One of the last requests of the father before he passed away was that he wanted to see the kid. He couldn't talk at that point. He had had a stroke, so he could just point to pictures, and he pointed to pictures of the baby. And when he saw his grandson, then he was able to die. But uh, Ralph Angel doesn't seem to think it's appropriate that he sees death. He didn't even want him to see him in the hospital. This guy's not very smart. He's bitter, he's angry, and he's trying to fit into this role of taking care of this kid. And he's basically a kid himself. He doesn't look like he's more than, I don't know, 24, 25 years old. And so he just makes a lot of kind of childish type uh, uh, decisions where the women are all are constantly pulling him up about what should be, particularly his aunt. But the aunt is fearful that she thinks that very soon he's going to take the kid away and then she'll have no purpose. So her boyfriend, Aunt, what's her name? Aunt Fee? Okay. All right. Aunt Lee or Fee or something like that. Anyway, so the aunt, oh, Aunt Val. Okay. Aunt Val and her boyfriend is Hollywood. They're not married. Hollywood's her boyfriend. She's also a primary character here. There are the three kids and there's also her. But she has a boyfriend. She hasn't been able to conceive a child, and she is freeing him, that if you want to get someone else, and he's also younger than her, don't let me hold you back. If you want to have a family, you should go ahead and pursue that. And he said, no, where I want to be. It's kind of cute. They seem to have a very good relationship. But he's assuring her that he wants to be with her, with or without children. But their one hope for raising children was that the baby was there. I guess Ralph Angel was off in prison somewhere, so they had been taking care of the child in that time, and so now he's out and back and very aggressive about wanting to raise a kid himself. So she's nervous about that, about losing her place. All right, so now we get to there was Nova. Let's talk about Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel's the son. Doesn't want Blue to attend the funeral. Didn't want him to see him in the hospital. Didn't want to see his granddad sick. Although the kid is the one who found him sick. He's the one that discovered that he had close to passed away. So and Val has to let him know that by coddling him, he's doing the kid no favor. He's not going to understand life because he don't understand any parts of life. He's just being protected. And apparently that's the way she felt he was raised. And she said, hey, look what happened. We're just telling him, and look at you, a mess. I get the impression that maybe the reason why these two girls who have a different mother, they seem to be raised in the same house, perhaps, and he was raised in the same house. This father was primarily a single father, even though he had two different women. That's what it kind of seems, what she's implying here, that he was coddled. Okay, so handles the situation. Okay, I'll give Ralph Angels some props here. I don't like him. He's just like going to be a difficult person, and he just like he's going to be a difficult person to deal with. And he did that stupid ass robbery in the episode last night, the first episode. He robbed this convenience store when the kid was right there waiting for him in the play yard. It's just so dumb. I mean, he maybe got $100, $200, something like that out of that, and he's just got out of prison. So he will be going back to prison in 15, 20 years behind this stupid. Anyway, so I don't know. He seems very confused. Now there is a hope for him because he's been making what you call googly eyes at this teacher, this Latin lady. The Latin lady is the kid's name is Blue. He's Blue's teacher, right? Now I don't know which one came first, but she is definitely giving him energy, and he is returning the energy. And when he returns the energy, all that angry black man stuff just kind of melts away, and he becomes a regular guy. So this could be his ticket to normalcy, because he seems to soften up when he's around her, and it is mutual. and as far as we know, she's not married. So, but I give him props because I like the way he's handling the situation with this doll. I did talk about it. It was season with the episode 1, but the kid has got this obsession with this little blonde doll that he's carrying around. I was saying that I don't like the idea that they would try to introduce some hint of this child's sexuality anyway, at 4 or 5 years old. I think that would be wrong. I think it would be too. Although many of us can testify that is kind of the way it happens. You kind of playing with dolls and the little different things start happening very early on. I didn't want it to go there, and I'm glad it doesn't go there because what's going on is the kid, his mother is very light-skinned girl, long good hair as they call it. Anyway, it's very obvious that the doll represents his mother, so he's just longing for his mother. And Ralph Angel seems to understand that because he's not, you know how straight men are. Give me that damn doll, you punk. None of that, and which I know happens a lot. In reality, they got to break you of that immediately when they at the first sign of anything feminine in a boy. But he understands where this is coming from, and he's very. I like the way he handles that situation, that particular situation, because it's not about the doll; it's about the mother. Okay, so he even tries to, even though this girl has got this history with drugs and so forth. I don't know if the drugs started when he was in prison or the drugs started before that. But she's got this history with drugs. She seems to be trying to get back, although they do color her eyes to make her look like an addict. So we don't know how far she's come along, if she's just getting into recovery. But he agrees that since he doesn't want the kid to go to the funeral, he said, okay, you can pick him up while we're at the funeral. But so she tries to get off work, and she's so excited because she wants to see her child. I mean, that's got to be very hard for a mother when you've given birth to a child. It's coming out of your body, and then you have a man that won't let you see that child. But he says, okay, come, but no more screw ups. Lo and behold, she got an asshole boss who says, if you leave here, you can keep on walking. In other words, so she can't get off work. She's got to stay and finish her job. She has this little job at this parking garage where she takes the tickets, collects the money, whatever. And so she has to stay at work or be unemployed, which would make her even in more of a mess. So at the last minute, she does break away, get to the funeral, but she's about the middle of the funeral. He wants to go over there and go off on her, of course, but it's a touching scene. The kid misses his mother, and she misses him, So, but I don't know if they'll ever be together because with them introducing this teacher, usually when they introduce another love interest right away like this, doesn't look good for the other person. But we'll see. Same thing goes for Charlie, because Charlie now is separated from her husband. It happened all in an instant, though. It's like there was an allegation that these basketball players had raped some girl, and the girl was pressing charges saying she was raped, and then he was not a part of the initial case, and then there was a video release went viral of him carrying the girl into the room, video camera from the camera in the hallway of the hotel, him carrying her in the room and patting her on the butt. And so then the mother goes, I don't have to repeat all that. I did it in the last video. Okay, go back to the last video. He's still professing his innocence. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about him. His name is Davis. Davis is very much in love with his family. One of these things that happens on television often is the person is innocent, but for somehow or other, they're able to delay and delay and delay him proving his innocence. So he's shown up in town there outside of northern New Orleans. He wants to see his son. His son does not want to see him. His son has been obsessively watching these social media on his phone. He's obsessing about it. So he's angry at his father also. But he shows up. He wants to see his son. She sees him trying to talk to him in a gym. And He's very humble. This guy, he's big old. He looks like an athlete. This big old guy. Uh, I don't know why these girls be marrying these athletes and think they don't mess around. Child, they have all these groupies every town they go to. They get all these groupies. But I guess she's one of those ones that if you mess around, then there's no repairing it. But and so he wants to go to the funeral. Also, apparently they had a relationship also with Ernest. Ernest is the father who's dead now. He wants to go and pay his respects also. Although the primary reason is there because his family's there. But just like with the other case I just talked about, they're showing with Ralph Angel, they're showing her flirting with this other guy who is a friend of Ernest's. He's a good friend, but he's a very much younger friend. He knows something about this. Okay, I got to jump onto this other thing. Okay, there's a villain being introduced. This will be protagonist, usually the main character propelling the story. The antagonist will be the opposite of that. Will be the antagonist, be the evil, the devil. So their devil is Samuel Laundrie. So they call him Sam Laundrie. Okay, immediately after the man's death, he shows up on the land. He don't even ask anybody, knock on the door. He just brings his surveyors, I guess, and start mapping out what he wants to buy. And so Charlie walks up on him on the land, tells him, "What are you doing? Can I help you?" He said he wants to make an offer on the land without even so much as a "good morning, ma'am." So this is going to be the crux of the story. It's going to be this fight over this land. It'll be the first fight anyway. Okay, so let me see what else I got. Okay, Charlie West David. All right, so the younger guy, the guy who was a friend of Ernest's, he knows something because she meets him in the a restaurant. He's been trying to contact her, Charlie. She meets him in a restaurant. She's surprised that he's a younger guy. She thought it was somebody her father's age kind of thing. And she brings up that this guy who wants to make an offer on their land. Do you know anything about him? And he says, "Shh, can't say it's a small town now." They're not in New Orleans. They're near New Orleans, so some small community. Who you all know, I guess this is the big guy in town kind of thing. But he says that after the funeral, when you're ready to talk, we'll meet privately. So he has information on that particular person. All right, so that's it. So it's a great series. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reviewing this whole thing. I think you guys enjoyed too. So check out. It's on demand now. So episode 1 and 2, sort of like the way they rolled out the last series, Greenleaf. They rolled it out like 2 or 3 episodes. I think they did. Then they did 3 episodes in 1 week. Kind of hook us, and I'm hooked. All right, so that's episode 2. See you for episode 3 later.